Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look at what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week we have a new moon in Pisces, and Venus will station retrograde, which you might know already if you listened to last week's episode in case you missed it. Last week, we talked all about Pisces season, which has a lot going on there, retrogrades, eclipses. So if you missed that episode, I definitely suggest checking out that one before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything that you need to know about Mercury and Aries and how that transit will affect you.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. So the first thing that happens this week is the new moon in Pisces. This takes place on February 27th at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know. New moons are new beginnings where we're setting intentions, and the new moon in Pisces will highlight fresh starts around Pisces themes such as spirituality, being open emotionally, and also being more creative, making this a really good time for you to embrace your intuitive side and dream big, even if things feel a little bit hazy or uncertain.
How you might feel. During this new moon, you might notice that you are more in touch with your feelings and maybe even set intentions around trusting your instincts. Your emotions might feel a little bit more softer and more fluid, and you might be feeling a little bit more go with the flow because Pisces is a mutable sign. During this time, you also might notice that you're more drawn to explore your creative side or to explore your spirituality on a deeper level. Just be mindful of any tendencies to doom scroll or be easily influenced.
So where is this going to show up in your life? Around the new moon, you might notice that there's more artistic events happening. Think things like craft fairs or workshops that you feel called to participate in. There could also be some more spiritual events going on around this time. Think things like online meditations. On a day-to-day level, you might notice that people in your group or in your social circle could be more emotionally expressive and want to talk about their feelings. This is a time where there is a lot of empathy and compassion, so you might also be feeling personally drawn to share how you're feeling with others and have a group vent session.
What will become important to you? This new moon is going to encourage you to nurture your intuition and to explore your imagination. This is a good time to start journaling or to try out any new creative hobbies. It also could be a time to establish new personal routines or rituals that will help you to connect more deeply with yourself and others.
Certain signs will be more affected than others. The signs that will most be affected by the new moon are going to be Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Personal placements only, meaning Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and or Mars placements. And there are some aspects to this new moon that make it just a little bit more interesting. The first is that the sun and moon are semi-loosely trine Mars, which can lead you to feel a burst of energy or motivation to turn your dreams into actions, since this new moon is a very dreamy energy. There's definitely going to be more supportive action for actually taking initiative on some of these things you're thinking about, and also standing up for what inspires you.
At the time of the new moon, the sun and moon will also be square Jupiter. While Jupiter is a very optimistic planet, it's really important that you are balancing your enthusiasm with being realistic so that you can avoid becoming burnt out or disappointed. There is sometimes a tendency with squares to Jupiter to overextend yourself or expect too much too soon. So it's really important to be patient and realistic.
The next thing that happens this week that you're going to want to pay attention to is Venus stationing retrograde in Aries. This will happen on March 1st at 7:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know, when Venus goes retrograde in Aries, it's a time where you're revisiting how you assert yourself in your relationships, in your finances, and it also can be a time where you rediscover your sense of self-worth. There can be a tendency to fear Venus retrogrades. I think a lot of people hear it and get worried since Venus is the planet of relationships and retrogrades typically tend to bring mishaps. However, Venus retrogrades are notorious for being an excellent time to take that energy and reflect inward so that you can reevaluate and recalibrate yourself. And this can even highlight some hidden issues, since this is in the sign of Aries, around independence or impatience. So this is not something to worry about too much, as long as you are approaching this with an open mind and are willing to be introspective.
How you might feel during this transit, you might notice that you have a really strong desire to reflect on your personal values, which is ruled by Venus. You might start questioning if you have been focused a little bit too much on yourself, or maybe you have been too accommodating and centering the needs and voices of others. It can be frustrating as you are trying to navigate these imbalances and work towards something that is more balanced and feels fair for you, so that you are able to take care of yourself while also being aware of what's going on with others.
So where will this show up in your life? Externally, you might notice that there are some shifts going on in relationship dynamics. So maybe your friends or coworkers might be more direct, or there could be some conflicts that are flaring up as we are figuring things out. Since this is also a financial transit, you might revisit your budget or renegotiate certain contracts, or just reassess your spending habits in general. In social settings, don't expect too much, since this does tend to be a more introspective time. There might not be a lot of big social events happening during the retrograde.
What will become important to you? This retrograde period is all about reflecting on your values in your personal life and in your relationships. You might focus more on setting boundaries, whether that is with others or with the projects that you are willing to take on. It's also a really important time to reflect on your energy, what you want to spend your time on, and how you can align your choices with the things that you value and the goals that you have for yourself. Even though Venus retrograde can bring up a lot of different things, it ultimately will help you grow as a person, and also it can help lead to healthier relationships with others.
If you're wondering how long this lasts, Venus will retrograde in Aries all the way up until it retrogrades into Pisces, which will be on March 27th at 4:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we will refresh you on the full Venus retrograde schedule in just a moment.
Certain signs will be affected more than others. The signs that are most affected by Venus retrograde in Aries are Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. Personal placements only, meaning Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, or Mars.
Now, there's only one key date to take note of while Venus is retrograde in Aries, which, side note, this is definitely a big contrast to when Venus retrogrades in Pisces, where there will be a lot more aspects, but we will talk about the Venus retrograde in Pisces and how that differs and what you can expect at a later date. But for now, just know March 21st, Venus retrograde will sextile Pluto, which is a day where you're really feeling deeply introspective about what drives you and what motivates you. This could be a really powerful day for confronting any underlying patterns in relationships or financial matters. So this is a day for powerful breakthroughs. Star it in your calendar if you're looking for that kind of energy. And as promised, this is the Venus retrograde schedule while you have your calendars out if you want to take note. Starting off with March 1st, 7:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is when Venus retrograde in Aries begins, as we know. But on March 27th at 4:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Venus retrogrades into Pisces.
And then on April 12th, at 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Venus will station direct in Pisces. That is when Venus retrograde ends. And then finally on April 30th at 1:16 p.m., Venus will re-enter into the sign of Aries.
And that is it for this week's episode. Just a reminder, next week we'll be talking all about Mercury in Aries, which is another planet that will retrograde soon. So definitely stick around for that one so you know what you can expect. Make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.